direct deposit just dropped. I'm worth 100K, bitch. Hi, hello, welcome to the Casual Comments, where we are all common people casually bound to this worldly existence by our bi-weekly paychecks. Yes, you heard that right. My net worth has hit $100,000. I'm a 100,000-aire as of April 6th, 2021. And like, it'll probably fluctuate a little bit just depending on the market. Like, that doesn't take away from the fact that I am worth not one, not two, three, four, or five, but 6 figures. And I am that much closer to retirement. And you know what? There are a lot of financial achievement videos on YouTube that are like, oh, like, I'm not making this video to brag or to flex, but you know what? I am. Listen, if all these internet influencers and scammers are flexing about the car that they're leasing, the mansion that they're leasing, the trips that they're putting on credit cards, and y'all fall for it and eat it up, then I certainly will get to brag about, you know, going to school for 4 years, saving up $100,000, meal prepping every week, budgeting, not buying clothing, being frugal, buying secondhand. Yes, I certainly will get to brag about that. And you know what? You don't get to take it away from me. No. None of y'all will take that away from me. That's not the point of this video. And like, I debated talking about like net worth on this channel. As you know, I am not a fan of telling people your business, especially when it comes to raw numbers like this. However, I think that 100K is a special number for all 20-something-year-olds, sometimes 30-year-olds that are new to the workforce and have debt to pay off and are getting started with a lower salary and are moving up in the ladder. So you know what? We will be celebrating 100K. I feel like it's something that should be celebrated, especially if, you know, in our consumerist culture, we are celebrating houses that people buy that they can't afford, new cars, but we don't celebrate the fact that people are saving for retirement and setting themselves up to be comfortable and survive when they can't work anymore. Not on my radar. So initially, I just wanted to make a standalone video for why I am pursuing financial independence, retire early, or known as FIRE. But then I hit 100K and I was like, maybe we'll just squish the two topics together, because I mean, they go hand in hand. Knowing that I have, you know, 6 figures saved up will give me some credibility as a 25-year-old. Okay, let me sit down first though. Okay, so what is FIRE? FIRE is an acronym for Financial Independence, Retire Early. There are 2 parts to it. The first part is FI, meaning that you have you money. You literally can quit your job if it's toxic. You can take a break off of work if you want to travel the world, or if you want to become like a primary caretaker for someone in your family. You just have options, and you don't necessarily have to take the first thing that comes to you to survive. And then retire early is exactly what it sounds like. You literally don't have to make another penny for you to survive. So you literally can just retire and do nothing and just spend your money until you die. And like, mathematically, like, how does that work? Like, how do you know that you're financially independent or that you can retire? Basically, it's you take your yearly expenses, you multiply that by 25, and that full number is what you need in your nest egg, your like total net worth to retire. So the idea is that you take that nest egg and you pull 4% out each year to spend. And with like compounding interest, it all kind of regenerates mostly back. So you have a full nest egg for the following year, and you can just perpetually pull out 4% and just do that. And like, if you think about it, 25 times and 4% are the same ratio. Just like think about it for a second, because I can't explain this because I'm bad at math. Just like pause the video. In a nutshell, that is what FIRE means. Okay, so now that you have some basic context, you should know that FIRE means something different to everyone. And to me, it means that I'm more interested in the financial independence aspect, as in, if I want to pursue like a YouTube or like Twitch streaming full time, that I can if I'm financially independent. If I hate my job, like, I can quit it and find something new. If I want to switch careers and do something more interesting rather than having to like seek out the money, I can do that too. So that's kind of like what I'm more interested in. And like, I don't think I will ever stop trying to make money or like finding different ways of generating revenue. However, it would be nice to not have to do all of that to survive. You know what I mean? So like, I can just find something more meaningful to do with my life, like volunteer at the local library, beekeep, sail, volunteer at children's hospitals. Like, that sounds a lot better than like making PowerPoint decks and Excel spreadsheets every week. And also, like, FIRE is kind of where I put my self-worth. Like, I made a video a few months ago detailing out that like, my job and my career is not my identity or my self-worth. And like, I've decided to put that in to FIRE. And like, is that healthy? No. Will I be fulfilled when I like hit this like magic number of not having to work anymore? Who knows? But you know what? That is for future Harrison to decide when he has enough money to survive on. Like, ooh, boo-hoo, like you don't know what to do with your life. Like, no, I'll figure something out. So, okay, I promise I will lay out the numbers and like give you like what I'm invested in and like where my money is. But let me first lay out like the high level plan of like what I'm doing. So like when a lot of people do FIRE, they have a set number that they need to retire on. They have like, they map out the dates depending on like what they put in and like what they expect the interest to be. For me, I literally don't have anything like that. All I do is just track my net worth every year. At the end of the year, I don't have a model plan on when or what number I need to retire on because I just started working not even 3 years ago, and I'm in a city that I don't see myself staying forever in. I don't have a partner. I don't have a family that I've started. I don't have property that I own. And like, I don't know if this is like my forever career even. And if this like, or if my current job is my like source of income for forever. So it's like, there are so many things up in the air that I just don't find making a plan worth it. Like, it's kind of pointless, you know, like literally in 2 to 3 years, like my life will probably look pretty different. And also there's like multiple ways that like this could go, right? Like if I stay in New York City and I don't live with roommates, obviously like I'm gonna spend more. If I move to like a low cost of living city and like work remote and keep my salary, I will spend less and I can like retire earlier. You know what I mean? Like there's just, it's not worth planning out right now. I find that a better use of my time is to just like do the best I can on saving. So like planning my meals, shopping secondhand, finding good deals, finding free things to do, enjoying time with friends, and like not having to spend so much money. So like I want to do all of that just so I can save at least 40% of my income gross each month. And I feel like that 40% number is enough for me to feel like I'm not sacrificing on living in the present, but I'm also very confident and secure in my future. Like I can still travel if I wanted to. I can still go out. I can still eat at like high-end restaurants with my friends once in a while. I can buy like a new gaming PC that I just made a video about. It's a good number and like I have nothing to complain about. Okay, this is the part you've all been waiting for. So I'll chronologically go through each year that I've been working full-time and detail what I was making and what I was doing with my money and what I like was able to save up. So maybe I guess we'll go pre-full-time work. So through the end of high school and college, or I guess through end of junior year high school. So high school and college, I had summer jobs. I was a tutor for my school district, and then I worked in like administration for another school district like in the area, and I made good money, and like I used that money to basically supplement my living costs throughout college. In college I had scholarships and grants, but then I also had money that I saved up from summer jobs, and I was able to graduate from my state university with $13,000 in debt, which is really good because I feel like a lot of people graduate like for a big state public school, they do somewhere around like $40,000. Like if you're in state and you get that like in-state tuition, but so $13,000 in debt for 4 years of good education. So I didn't have to pull out as many student loans for like living costs because my summer job was able, like I was able to buy food and clothing, school supplies, and like pay part of rent with it. So very thankful for that. And then I graduated May 2018 and started my job end of July 2018. And my first paycheck, I got a big fat bonus, not gonna lie, of $10,000, like a signing bonus to like work at my company. And then they also gave me a $4,000 relocation bonus. So technically I was zero net worth because minus 13K and like plus 14K, you know what I mean? Like it just equaled out zero, but I didn't like pay off my student loans immediately. I was working and like contributing to my 401k, Roth IRA, and like just saving up a little bit because of the move from Texas to New York. I paid off my student loans at the end of that year. So like November, December. And I think I only accrued like $40 of interest against me, so not bad. And mathematically I know I could have made more money had I put it into the market and like put it into my 401k instead of paying my student loans off like immediately, because I think the loans were only like 3-4% interest where you expect 7 to 8% in the market. So like mathematically it wasn't smart, but $13,000 isn't that big of a number. And also like I slept so good. As soon as I paid off all my debt, like I was not worrying about like student loans and like living in crippling fear. Not that I ever was, but like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have anything against me. Like no one had their hold against me. Like I owed nobody nothing. and it felt great. And you know what? That was worth my mental health. And like, I recouped that money within like the next year. So it's like, am I really losing that much on compounding interest? Like, no, it's not a big deal. So first year of working, let's say 2018, my salary was like 85K. I didn't make that full amount, obviously, because I only started working July. I only did up to my employer match, and then I only contributed like 1,000 something to my Roth IRA, which had I known, like I would have put the max amount in my Roth IRA, but like hindsight's 2020, and also like I was a little broke, from the move. So if 2018 was about getting rid of all my debt, 2019 was about saving up a big fat account for emergencies. So around like early 2019 was when I finally opened up a high yield savings account after a lot of paperwork. I don't know why they like were so slow with opening my account, but got it open and I started putting in money. I moved again, so more costs associated with it. I was also moving from like a studio I was sharing with 2 other people into my own room. So like now I had space to furnish my own stuff. So that costs money. So 2019 was all about just like saving up. I also was spending a little bit more because like, now that I'm debt free, now that I have my own room, have my own space, I was going out, like trying new foods and like drinking with more friends, like just enjoying being young in the city. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I did save up a 6 to 8 month emergency fund by the end of that year, which was really nice. So I ended 2019. Oh wait, yeah, I was still making 85K. I ended 2019 with about 37,650 in net worth, so 37K. I was able to max my Roth IRA, and then I raised my 401k contribution to 8% because like I remember one of my old professors saying that like you all need to save like 15%, like getting 6% of your contribution and then the employer match to 12% is not enough. Like you need 15% at the very least. So I raised it up to 8%, which put me at 14%, and then I counted my Roth IRA as like the other percent, so like whatever. And then end of that year, I also got a raise to $90,000, which was nice, and like a bonus of like 3,000 or 4,000. I didn't really see that money. I just spent it on a flight back home to visit family. So 2019 was like my get stable year, So now 2020, and we all know how nasty that year was. The panorama happened, and that scared the good Lord Jesus out of me. So I was like, damn, not only do I need 6 months, I also need like 8 to 12 months, which is a little high. It made me kind of realize that like I never want to be in the situation of fearing for my well-being, fearing for like, what if I lose my salary? What if I lose my job? So that's kind of like when I started to like go down the rabbit hole of FIRE more seriously and like actually look at like other people's numbers and like compare like how I'm doing to that and like if I'm like on track, which just take it at your own pace. You can't compare what you're making and what you're saving to other people because they could be making more, they could be making less, but just, do your best. But like I was thinking, so like if this panorama ever happens again in the future, I want to be secure. Like I want to feel good. I don't want to be stressed all the time. Like I was stressed. Like when work from home first hit, I was like, damn. And like layoffs started happening to like, competitors. I was just like, oh my God, I'm lucky that I'm relatively new and like low salary compared to like a lot of the other people because they started kicking people out. Like it was a little scary. So slowly over the spring into the summer and like into the early fall, I started raising my 401k contribution. Like each month or each paycheck, I would be like, okay, can I pay my bills? And do I have money left over to, do other things, but then like invest? And the answer was always yes. So I went from like 8 to 10 to 12, 15, 18, 20. And then eventually in like October, November-ish, I put it at 25%. Which was a lot more than like what I'm getting matched. But even though I did that, I never got to the $19.5 thousand limit for your 401k. But I was happy with the number that I was putting in because like I was like, ooh, this is a lot more than like I was contributing previous years. And I feel really, really good that this money is going towards my future. And I was also able to max my Roth IRA, which we know is the best tax advantage or like retirement fund. Like that's why it's overpowered. So they have to nerf it and put it at $6,000 for the cap. I also raised my savings. I also invested more into my brokerage, like not a lot, but like anything that I had left over wouldn't go just to the savings. It would go to like actually investing as well. So at the end of 2020, my net worth was $85,600, which is a big amount. That's as much as I was making my first salary. And then I also got promoted and got a raise, and now I am making just over 6 figures salary wise. So now in 2021, 4 months in-ish, and my net worth has hit $100,000. Woo! And like here we are. I'm still just sticking with my plan. I'm tucking away 40% of my like income, and like nothing's changing, although I will be moving soon. So damn. And like I'll probably be paying more rent, damn. But like for the last 3 years I've lived in like out of the way places, so fingers crossed if I do get this new apartment that, we actually live in New York City and like do what we moved here to do, you know what I mean? Okay, so now that y'all know year by year the breakdown of what I was making and what I was tucking away, let's get into the juicy details of like where all my money is placed, what I'm invested in, what like just makes up my net worth. So spoiler alert, I am rounding the numbers just to make it easier to look at and like vocalize, because like no one needs to know what penny like I'm at, you know what I mean? Like you don't need to know that decimal because it fluctuates. Like that's how the market works. Sorry, it's all made up if you didn't know. And also, second spoiler alert, I am not invested in anything fun such as Tesla, Bitcoin, nor GameStop. So if you came here thinking that you would find out how to get rich quick, like this is not the channel for you. Sorry, like you can leave. Thank you. I got your view count. Like bye. Okay, so I think the biggest account that we're all interested in is the 401k. It is my biggest account, obviously. Like I put the most money into it just because it is like the retirement nest egg. And at a high level, I contributed $28,000 into it. I was matched $12,800, and all my gains and dividends totaled to $11,000, meaning I have $51,000. So half of my net worth put into my 401k. So within the 401k, it's kind of boring, dude. Like 10% of it, I put in a 2060 retirement goal fund, which is where it like they just kind of like adjust the risk and return as you age. So like I'm retiring in 2060, so right now like that's nearly 40 years away, so all my investments in that fund itself is risky, and as we get closer to 2060 it'll start changing over to like bonds and cash, to where if the market goes up and down like sporadically, like it doesn't matter because my investments at 2060 or in 2060 will be stable. So boring. I just put it in there because I was like, we'll see what they do. Like I'm kind of interested to see like that return versus like other returns, but like as of right now, it's all the same because it's all just equity and stocks. So 10% is $5,000 into that. Next thing I have is 35% in a Vanguard Institutional 500 index, meaning that's all like the top 500 like companies. So just think of the S&P 500. That's what it holds. I have $18,000 invested into that. I think this is like the exciting one actually, is 30% or $15,000 into the Vanguard Growth Index, VIGIX. Technically, if you go to like FIRE forums and like read about it, like I've read that like it's not as good, but like I'm young, so I have like a bigger horizon to grow that money. So I think making a risky play here would be worth it. But essentially it's all just a bunch of like growing companies and that Vanguard thinks has like high potential to like, shoot. I think some of it is actually like Apple or like Facebook. So like already established companies that they just think will grow more, I guess. Don't take my advice. I don't really know. I just know that it's a riskier investment than the 500, the S&P 500. But theoretically, it should generate more returns. And then the last part in my 401k is 25% or $13,000 in a Vanguard Total International Stock Market Trust. So I think that's like all companies in the world, like internationally, like all companies that like are publicly traded, just a whole, it's just like a fund for all of that. And I picked this one just because I didn't have access to like a total US stock market one. So it's just like, we'll go international. Like why not expose myself to like international stocks as well? Because we can't be dependent on, this country for nothing, honestly. So the next fun one is my Roth IRA. I contributed $18,600 and my gains were $5,000, totaling to $23,600. Again, like these gains are not real until I like cash out and like take the money into cash. Like you have to understand that like when I say gains, it's like, oh, like you're doing so well. But we've been in a bull market. Investors think that like things will like continue to go up. So like they keep buying in. So like that increases the price of stocks. So like really it's not real. Like tomorrow, like this could all crash. You know what I mean? So like take the gains with a grain of salt. The biggest thing I have in my Roth IRA is VTI. So like the total stock market that Vanguard holds. That's $13,000 in it. Boring, 35%. Or $8,000 is in the S&P 500, so the Vanguard version, which is VOO. And then 9% or $2,000 is in iShares Global Impact ETF. Now, this is one that, FIRE communities, people they would like tell you to kind of stay away from because you shouldn't conflate your core values with investing because sometimes they just, don't go hand in hand. But I was like, $2,000, it can't hurt anyone. So I just threw some money into a fund for global impact to like signal that like as an investor, I want to see more companies that are doing good. And I will continue to invest in companies that, aren't trying to kill the world. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to be that signal to tell companies that they need to do better or else, the new money coming in will not invest in them. And then finally, I have a brokerage account. It only has $7,000 in it, which I'm not going to get into breakdown, but pretty much all of that is invested in VOO and VTI, exactly the same as my Roth IRA. The only thing that's different is I do have $1.6 thousand in iClean, which is a fund for green energy, and then just over $500 in like a dividend fund, which had I known that that dividend would have been taxed, I probably wouldn't have bought the dividend fund and just gone with like an ETF. But my bad. And we're not going to sell it. We're just going to keep it. Like, what is 2 pennies going to, tax me on? Nothing. So those are all of my like investment accounts, which leaves us with like non-invested cash. So right now I have $16,000 in my savings account and $2,000 in my checkings account, which total to $18,000, which is 6 to 8 months of expenses. It's my emergency fund basically. And like, yeah, that does sound high. Like people are like, oh, usually like $10,000 and like it's 3 months or whatever. But you gotta remember, like I live in New York City. This place is fucking expensive. So I feel better the more I have, just in case like I lose my job, but like I still have to pay New York City rent. Like it just helps me sleep at night just to know that I have that money. Yes, it could be better utilized, invested, and I could always pull out of my Roth IRA for like an emergency, but like that's a headache. I don't want to think about that. I just want to know that I have money that I can drop, today within 24 hours. Ooh, and then a bonus section. So I contribute to my employer share purchasing plan, ESPP, and each year they let me contribute 10% of my income. So basically each 6 months it's $5,000, and you like let your company hold it, and then at the end of that 6 month or 1 year period, they let you buy their stock at like a discount. So instead of me buying my company stock at like $100 per share, I get to buy it at $85 per share, meaning that 15% discount or whatever, discount I get is technically a gain. I treat my stock purchasing plan as an extra savings account because I'm getting 15% every 6 months. Like, yeah, I have to pay taxes on it, but like really what is that? It takes me down to 10% of gains, which is a lot more than I would get in a savings account, and it's guaranteed, which is unheard of because like, sure, I could also get more in the stock market, but is it guaranteed? Never, ever? No. I do get this like 15% guaranteed, which is why I contribute to it. But then do I hold on to my employer stock? No. I sell it right away. Yes, I do have to pay like short-term whatever taxes on it, but it also helps me sleep better just to know that I don't have my money locked into one stock. I sell it right away and I put it into the S&P 500 so that I have money invested in 500 companies, so I don't fear for one company like getting shut down. I also don't recommend like keeping stock of your own company just because, unless you're like really high up. But like, do you want to eat where you shit? Like, no. Come on. I think that's it. Thanks for listening to me talk about financial independence, retire early, /fire, my net worth. I do love spreading the magic and the gospel of FIRE. So if you somehow are curious and you didn't know, like I expect, if you come to this page or if you come to my video, y'all know what FIRE is. Like, I'm not a big YouTuber, so like you're searching for these terms, so you know what FIRE is, you know what I mean? But if you somehow don't, then I actually recommend going to Reddit, looking up r/financial independence and reading the sidebar, what they have stickied. So like the main stuff that they have, and then each day they do like a daily thread where people ask questions, they just talk and like they list out their investments. So it's like a good place to get multiple opinions on FIRE and like what you should be doing. I also recommend the Choose FI podcast if you're like an audio visual person, if you don't like reading. So those are my 2 best resources. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Bye.